Hi, and welcome to another exciting episode of the Andre The Beast Crayton Show. I never know who might walk through that door, and today is definitely no exception to the rule. Today, we're going to talk about one man's journey into the music industry from being a rap artist, entrepreneur, family man, and how he pivoted his craft over to a whole different stream of music. He is definitely one of Indiana's premier artists at his craft. I'd like to welcome to the show the one, the only, the soon-to-be Grammy-nominated winner, Mr. Tyler Truth. Welcome to the show, Big Dog.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate being here. So
let's get right down to the nitty-gritty. First of all, I love that hat.
Oh, thank you.
I love the whole look.
So yeah, this hat is actually they were actually sponsored to us by I think it's Outback Outdoor. I forget the name of the place.
We'll look it up, but
Yeah,
it looks really,
thank you.
good. So tell the viewers a little bit about who Tyler Truth is. It's such a beautiful name too, powerful name.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. So the name, a lot of people actually think my name is actually Tyler Truth, and I'm gonna tell a secret. It's not. My name is not Tyler Truth. My name is Ryan Tyler. But I did not want to use my government name as an artist, so I decided to take my last name and then put Truth at the end of it. Truth was actually one of the names I used in my current music, hip hop, and R&B. So I said, I wanted to carry a piece of that into my new country journey, so that's where the Truth came from. So,
When you say your hip hop journey first, what was that like for you? Did you come from a musical background first of all?
yeah, so my mother and my father both did music. My dad is a singer, songwriter, and producer. He kind of did it all. He's a bass player and a guitarist as well. And my mom's a singer, songwriter, and so I used to listen to them as a child. And I was like 7 years old when I would just sit there and just listen to them make songs all day. I would sit on the stairs and they'd be up in the studio just writing music, and that's where it kind of started for me. Just listening to them and tapping to the little beats and stuff as they produce stuff. And my dad got me a little 8-track recorder he used to have. He gave it to me, sent me
An 8-track recorder.
Yeah.
How old are you now? I haven't heard that one in a long time. 8-track recorder. Oh my God.
Yeah, he set me up and got me a little mixing board and a little Casio keyboard, and I would just sit down there all day just writing songs. And so that's kind of where it came from for me.
Now you're born and raised in Indiana?
No, I'm from Chicago, Illinois. I grew up on the south side. They call it the Wild Hundreds.
Okay. And what about you to Indiana? Crossing the border, because people need people that don't understand that maybe from Florida or further down. It's basically neighbors. You just cross over. So what made you cross over the line?
So I actually moved here to get married. Shout out to Cassie. That was my first wife. We're no longer together, but we're still good, still cordial. So she also listens to my music and promotes it a lot. So I appreciate that.
You don't hear that much from people. You really don't, but I like that.
Yeah, to be honest, I don't think I have really any relationships where it's ended bad. Like, I mean, they've ended, but we're still.
Yeah, and that's how it should be. Two human beings should be able to coexist.
Yeah.
Even though situations may appear to be uncoexistible.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I try to be as understanding as possible. Try not to be too difficult.
So when did because you mentioned that you started out in two different genres, the rap game and then the R&B game. Let's talk about that first before you transition over into where you're at now.
Yeah, so to actually start, back when I was younger, I actually started off in jazz and funk.
I love jazz.
So yeah,
and I love funk.
I love jazz. Yeah, so that's where I got my background. My dad had me listening to a lot of Parliament.
Oh my God, yeah.
Bootsy
Collins.
Oh yeah, Bootsy. We Earth, Wind and Fires, Weather Report, Kool and the Gang.
Lakeside.
Yes, Steely Dan. Yellow Jackets.
Yeah.
I mean, I listened to a lot of different stuff growing up, and that's all I would play. I would just write jazz and funk. And then I started getting into R&B, and I found out real fast I was not a singer.
How'd you find that out?
Just singing. lot of sour notes in the bank. Yeah. So, singing R&B was not for me. I mean, it's singing R&B and country is two different things. I'll talk about that more later. But it's like a lot of falsetto and different runs and notes and things that you don't have to do in country. And so it was a lot more difficult to sing R&B for me than it was country. But and then I got into hip hop, and so I really enjoyed and still enjoy rapping. I do some rapping in my country if you've heard the music.
Oh yeah, I've heard the music. We're talking about that too. Yeah,
but the hip hop industry is a lot different. A lot of people ask me why don't I cross my old hip hop into my country, and I tell a lot of people I don't like to merge the two because hip hop in itself is just a different beast. It's a different beast.
Right.
And when I was writing hip hop, my music was not clean. It was more vulgar and a little more street.
Did you find it yourself to be disturbing that being a creative writer, most creative writers don't just come out and want to put foul language in their music, but I guess society accepts that now as the norm.
Yeah, it was actually crazy because when I first came out, I did not cuss in my rap. That was my whole thing. My name was Real Life, the Truth, and that was what my message was. I wanted to bring real life and truth to the hip hop industry. And so when I first started, there was no foul language. It was just all clean, real life situations, just like how I write with my country. Mm-hmm. And I got a lot of negative feedback in the hip hop community because everybody they wanted to hear the foul language, the cussing, they wanted that more street appeal. And so, unfortunately, I kind of bowed into that direction. And it's something that I've always regretted. I regretted taking that dive and not standing on my own merits. But I did. I went ahead and I just started writing, what was going to sell. Because at the end of the day, I was just trying to make it into the business and sell records.
You mentioned the support you have in your family.
Yeah.
Were you married at the time that you was writing the rap music?
Yeah.
How did your wife feel about you writing that kind of music, knowing that was the way that you had to be accepted in there when your mom, your dad, your whole family knew that you were bigger than that?
Yeah, so that was one of the funny things that my wife knew about it at the time, and I mean, she wasn't naysay. She of course preferred the cleaner music, but she understood I was just trying to get out there, get my career going. But I kept it hid from my parents. Like I'm one of those. We grew up in a very respectful household. Like I don't cuss in front of my parents. Well, mm-hmm. We didn't use foul language in our house, and so I was very ashamed of the music at the time, and so I didn't let my dad and my mom hear it or know that I was doing the music I was doing because it was very embarrassing for me. But at the same time, the feeling that it gave me when the streets would hear it, like the people would hear it, mm-hmm. was a good feeling because they liked the music and they
Let's get real. You was making some money.
Yeah, we were doing shows and people were showing up, and it was a good feeling on that note. But at the same time, it didn't feel right with me.
What's your Tyler? What's your take on artists? I heard a particular artist, well-known artist, I won't mention her name, who clearly said she would not let her kids listen to her music because she knew how bad it was. What is that, as an artist yourself and somebody that is making millions of dollars, but they won't let their own kid? What do you think? What do you tell somebody that, as far as morals like that you're making all this money, but you won't let, the music is bad, but you won't even let your kids listen to it, but you will send it out for the world to listen to?
Yeah, that's another thing. Like me and my dad sat, once he finally heard my music, he called me and he was disappointed, and that was kind of a turning point for me. That was right before I started doing the country. Mm-hmm. Once he heard it, and it just made me think too. I didn't let my kids listen to my music, and it's like, at the same time, it's like, you got to really think. It's like you aren't going to let your kids hear what you're doing, but you're also, like you said, putting it out in the world for other people's kids to hear it. And mm-hmm. you hope that other people are paying more attention to their children and to let them listen to what adults are talking about. But that's not always the case.
Right.
So you run that risk of somebody's child being brought up on your views and your ideas. And I felt like I needed to be more responsible than that.
I like the way you said that.
Yeah.
I don't get that much when I talk to artists, that the word responsibility
Yeah.
with that. Now, you mentioned something about you didn't have the vocals
Yeah.
to do R&B. You didn't have the baby face
No.
type voice. When did you find that out?
So I found that out early. We actually had a group. Me and my friend Steve started a group many years ago.
What was the name of the group?
Called the Black Keys.
That sounds pretty cool,
Yeah,
man.
it was funny because we came up with the name, and but then I found out later there's actually a group called the Black Keys. Yeah, but our whole thing was, keyboard has white and black keys. We're black, so we were gonna be the black.
I like that.
Black Keys. But we started a group, and Steve could sing really well, and the other members in the group could sing really well, and I was kind of like I was the extra in the group. Like my voice would hold the backup, but I was.
When did they tell you, look, man, it's cool for you to be here, but it just ain't happening?
Yeah, see, that's the thing. So I was a really good songwriter. That's where I honed my position in the group. So I wrote most of the songs at the time. So the songs were mine, but I knew too, like, y'all need to sing front and center because I was
right.
So
being a songwriter, that's interesting. What do you like now? You're a performer now.
Yeah.
But even when we was talking through the pre-interview, I can sense a lot of more passion with you being creative behind the scene. What's your take on that? Which one do you like the best? And then why focus more so on singing and performing when it clearly appears to me you really enjoy the writing behind the scenes?
So I'm gonna tell you a little secret. My manager James, he knows this. So there's a secret about me. I really do enjoy performing. Songwriting is something that just comes to me, and how I explain it to people all the time. Like when I'm writing a song, it's almost like I'm not even writing a song; it's just being written for me.
Really?
It's like I'll hear the music. The music is what writes the song. Once I hear those melodies and the rhythms, it is all of a sudden I know, okay, this is what that song needs to be about. This is where it's going to go, and I'll just write it. So my album, my first album, I think I wrote that album within a matter of like a week and a half.
Is that the album that has Big Dog in it?
That song right there, I actually wrote two different versions of that song. I wrote that song wasn't supposed to be. I wrote another song, and when I started rehearsing it, I didn't like it. So I trashed that one, and I wrote that song on the way to the studio. So I wrote that song within like maybe 10, 15 minutes.
Really?
Yeah. And so, I mean, it didn't take long.
What changed about what you mentioned you threw it away, but what was missing that you had to throw that one away, and what was in the one that you threw away that you said just not going to resonate? Because that's a powerful song. You're going to perform a little bit of that before we get off there.
So yeah, that song, the original song that I wrote was nothing like that one. It was the same music, but different lyrics, different melody, different harmony, the way I sung the song, and I just didn't like the way I wrote the first one. And I was like, it needs to be more powerful, and that's when I wrote the at the top that you heard. So.
That at the top, oh my God! Look, I was telling your manager, look, I seen that in my car. I made sure that it's on. just the, and it's kind of funny that you said you didn't really sound good as an R&B singer, because your voice, even on that song, man, it's just like, wow, dude, it's almost like you're going to church, but you ain't. You know what I mean?
And I've been developing my voice now that I'm actually singing. Kind of answer the question you asked. What changed? So, for me, songwriting has always been just like a gift. It's been a gift that I've had, and I've always wanted to be a performer. That's what I admire the most is performing.
How many times were you dancing in front of the mirror and singing and stuff, and nobody knew about it?
All the time. I used to do all of Michael Jackson and everything. I knew all those moves, man.
You got the glove too?
Yeah, I made some gloves. But yeah, I mean, I always wanted to be a performer. It was something I've always wanted to do. And I tell James all the time, I'm like, because right now I run a paint business. I own my own company, so I'm working that, full time right now too. Mm-hmm. And so I don't rehearse, and I told James like it's kind of been a cool experience to see how far we're getting with this when I've never had a rehearsal. Like normally when I have a show coming up, James will say, "Hey, we got a show next week," and I'll just say, "Okay," and then like 2 days before the show, I'll just start singing the songs in the car. 'Cause that's really the only time I get to rehearse is in the car driving, and so I'll sing the songs in the car a few times, and then I'll just go on stage and do it. So I'd never been a performer before. I just kind of all in one year just had to get on stage and just wing it. So we've been winging it.
You know, you mentioned something that I thought was truly remarkable. I told you I was just on a panel with the great Sid Johnson and the young artist that he produced under MECAP. You've done so much in such a short amount of time. What is that? What is that like? You getting ready to drop your third album. You did your first album. I mean, what was the reason for having so many albums at such a small time frame, and still you and your manager both are still entrepreneurs yourselves?
Yeah. So that came about because, like I said, when I wrote at the top, I was expecting everybody to kind of laugh me off. And like, dude, what are you doing country music for? You know? And so what happened when I wrote the song, I put it out on social media, and like instantly I had people requesting that I come do shows and festivals, and asking where they can find more of my music. And I'm like, I don't have any music. So we went out and performed at a few. We had a festival that booked us, and they wanted me to do 3 songs. So I had to write 2 more songs real quick and we get them recorded. So we did that, and then we performed there. And then after that, we started getting booked from other venues, and they were wanting me to do 2 3 hour slots. And I was like, I've only got 3 songs. So I just wrote 2 albums. Just started writing songs to get 2 albums out, so that way I had enough material to do a show.
Did you have any experience now? You put a track out, all of a sudden it's gone viral.
Yeah.
I mean, did you have to hurry up and collaborate a team, a manager,
yeah,
negotiators? Because now you're in popular demand, but it just goes to show you the Michael Jackson song, Somebody's Watching Me. I always feel like somebody was watching you.
Yeah.
So now all of a sudden, how do you start to orchestrate to make it to where you're at now?
So I'm gonna do 2 things with this answer. I'm gonna show you the difference in genre and the difference in relatability and responsibility. Okay. So I've been doing hip hop almost my entire adult life. Okay, I almost got signed 3 times years ago when I was early, like in my earlier 20s. But I never had a following. I never had anybody that was diehard fans that showed up to my shows and pushed my music, managers wanting to sign and all that. Never had that. Did it since I was 18 up until last year.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm 37. I started doing country my first year. I didn't have to hire anybody. I didn't have to ask for help. James, my manager, I got on social media one day, and all my songs I put up, he was just blasting them on the page. Check this out, check this out, check this.
James was doing the work.
James was doing the work. Wasn't my manager at the time.
Right.
I seen what he was doing. He reached out to me and said, man, I love your music. I would love to manage you. I was like, dude, I would love for you to manage me. From that, my booking agent, shout out to Madison. She's so great out in Nashville. Her and her husband, Hound, they're like some of the most amazing people. Then I have everybody just on the team. Everybody just came on to the team. Dwayne, shout out to Dwayne. He's our publicist. They all heard the music and said, we want to be a part of this. We see the potential in this. We want to be a part of this.
How does that make you feel when other people see the potential of you?
It's a great feeling. But to be honest, it's like it's me doing the music, but I feel like what people really see is the message. Okay. It's the message. They hear the music, because when I was doing hip hop, I couldn't get anybody to help because 2 reasons. For one, it's not marketable. I could never go on ABC or Fox and do my hip hop.
Why?
Because it's vulgar. It's derogatory. It's so many different things that people, when they're going to hear it, they're going to be like, I don't want to hear this. On mainstream television. You know,
Right.
they don't want to hear that, and so people can't get behind it. When I was trying to book shows in the past, nobody wanted to book shows because as soon as you do a hip hop show, everybody's fighting at the end, and that's what we always got every time we tried to book the show. So, and then it's hard to get people to share your music because everybody knows a rapper. You know, I rap, and then this guy down here can't rap. You know, so like when I'm trying to get him to listen to my music, his people are like, no, listen to my guy. You know, so it's like it's almost impossible unless you grow up in a community where you are, you know, known for something else, whether you selling drugs, or, you know, or basketball player, or you know what I'm saying, just somebody that knows a bunch of people, and you got a following behind you already. Trying to get your music out is next to impossible doing hip hop.
Do you get any haters from, or should we say, let's be real, because we're real, sell out?
Yeah,
Like they did with Nelly. They was like, oh, well, you a rapper, now you with Florida, Georgia line.
Yeah, and see, and that's what's crazy is because I see a lot of it on both sides. You know, from other artists, I see people say, "Oh, you crossed over, you stopped rapping and went to country," or you know, a lot of people in country don't like people coming out of rap and going into country.
Really?
And I figure I've not got any of that hate, and I think the reason why it is because I'm still rapping. I'm still rapping in my country, but I'm doing it differently, you know, because I love rap, and, you know, and I still listen to some gangster rap. Like I'm, you know, the messages aren't always what you want to hear, but I'm not bashing that at all. You know,
I listen to a little Rick Ross.
I don't always agree with all
Maybach music.
The newer stuff. I'll be honest, the newer stuff, I hate it. I hate
it
because it's not even. You know, I don't mind a few cuss words here and there in my rap when you're telling me a story because you're just being real. You're talking about your real life. The stuff that I hate is this new stuff where it's just, you know, bad word this, bad word that, and it's like no message. What are you talking about? You know, you just throwing bad words in a sentence just to put something on the beat. That I don't really like. But I love hip hop, you know, but I think the reason why I've not had that hate is because, for one, I never bashed hip hop. I never made it like, oh, hip hop is horrible, it's trash. I don't want, you know, I still love hip hop and I still put it into my music. But at the same time, when I came in the country, I think they accepted me because I didn't come in the country and just take country music and start rapping on the country track or trying to make country sound different. I took country and I kept that tradition within the country, and then I just added my own flair to it. And I don't do it on every song. I still give them traditional country, but every now and then I'll throw in something with a little funk, a little, you know, hip hop, a little R&B, and they appreciate it because they still got that same family home message that they want to hear, but now they're getting a little flavor on it. You know,
what is country? We can all identify to what R&B is. We can identify to what jazz is. We can identify to bluegrass, hip hop music, but a man of color, what is country music to you? Because it wasn't part of your genre at first. What did you have to learn to bring country and your culture together where it makes sense, where you don't have to worry about people being haters or where they need to understand the message? Because if I have a Caucasian person here that grew up country, he's going to come at a whole different way of what country is. But you being a man of color who had multiple experience in the music industry but very little on the countryside, what is that like for you, and what is country as far as your definition?
So country, by I believe everybody else's definition, is just a rural community and their message. And country music, the country is one thing. You know, the country is a place. It's, you know, the outbacks, it's the outdoors, it's green pastures. You know, that's country. Country music, to me, I feel is different. And I'll start by saying this: there's a lot of people I read online, a lot of people saying, you know, talking about Beyonce's album and how it's not real country music and this, that, and the third.
Yeah.
Now, I'll be honest, I don't like the album that much. You know, I'm just being honest. There's a couple songs on there that I really like. I didn't really like the album because if I'm being honest, as far as genre goes, it doesn't really sound like it doesn't really have a country feel. And the reason I say that is because country, what I've understood it to be, is a wholesome understanding of hard work and dedication to family, community, and passion. You know, if you listen to country music, no matter what the melodies are, no matter what the instruments are doing, it's the message.
And you're 100% right. Every time I
Yeah.
listen to country, I'd be like, man, that's a powerful
They're
message.
telling a story. They're telling you about mama, about dad, about hard work, about losing loved ones, about this. And when I put on Beyonce's album and I heard it, it wasn't that. It was some of the songs that she redid from other country artists were that, but then a lot of the songs were just regular songs. And so I don't hate on the album. I just don't listen to it. But at the same time, it was a good album.
Mm-hmm.
It's just not a good country album.
How were you dealing with the instant success, the fame? Because that's what it is. Even if it's this much, you're elevating or you're vibrating at such a high level.
Yeah.
How are you dealing with this?
One thing about me, I don't change. I think what changes people isn't so much the celebrity; it's the money and the attention.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna be me no matter how many people are watching. And money has never been something that I care about. I want to make money so I can take care of my family and do things for my friends and my community. And I'm gonna live a regular life like I always do. Like, money is not my motivator. My passion is the music and what I can do for the people around me. So I handle it very well, I believe, because there's nothing anybody can do to waver me. James knows, my manager, there's been people coming at me trying to get me to sign deals and be on their side and come this way and come that way. I'm loyal to the people I work with. I don't care if it takes us 35 more years to get this off the ground. I'm not going to just...
That was beautifully said.
You know.
Now, you're an independent artist, correct?
Yes. I own my own label. Real Nice Music is our label.
Okay.
I own that, and I'm the first artist on that label.
Look, that's what they say. It starts with you anyway. You need to be the first artist or the first person on your own company.
Yeah.
How do you maneuver entrepreneurship with your paint business? You and your manager, because he does construction for a time.
Yeah.
How do you guys manage that? And more importantly, how do you keep a great friendship?
Yeah. So me and James are he's like my right hand. That's all I can say.
We'll have James on a different show. I know he got some stories to tell.
Yeah, James does. As far as my business, I don't know how James keeps things going. He'll have to tell that on his end. But for me, my son Keyshawn, he's been my everything in as far as this goes. He's my partner in my paint company, and he's also with me on pretty much every show I go to, every performance. He's right there. So he's actually taking a hit right now, taking one for the team, because right now he's out running all the jobs for me because I can't be there. I told him, I was like, son, if we ever gonna get this music off the ground, get some real things going, I was like, I'm gonna need you to run the business while I go chase this dream until we can get it up. And he's like, okay. So right now he's been kind of taking the back seat on some of this stuff just to keep the business going. So he's the one out there, running it anytime I can't be at work.
How does that make you feel to know that this is something that we strive for in the world today? We have so much family disconnect that to have you sit here and share such a great story of your son stepping up, your manager, your best friend, and people that you never heard of, hearing your song, hearing your message, wanting to come and rally to you. How does that really make you feel deep down inside?
Man, it's like one of the most amazing feelings I've ever had. I can't even lie to you. It's like it feels so good to see what my words do for people. It's like, because at the end of the day, music, the melody is great. You can't have one without the other. But the words are what inspire. That's what inspires people. And so to see all these people listen to this music and say, man, this is so relatable to my life. This is something that happened to me, and it's like, this made me feel this way or that way. That's the most rewarding feeling it is. For me to see people in the crowd when we're performing, how they react and just loving the music, like that's really all the reward I really need from this.
What do you see, before we wrap up, two-part questions. What do you see that's lacking in the entertainment industry It doesn't have to be R&B or country or whatever. But just in general with artists. And then the second part of that question is, what got you over the hump? What got you to where you were at besides hard work? And what would you tell somebody to do to get to where you at?
So I can answer that question in one part, honestly. It's one thing and one thing only, talent. Talent is what's lacking in the entertainment industry. And the reason that is because the artists are not the ones in the control anymore. You know, back in the day, labels were the ones in control. Now, the people as a whole are in control. But as
Meaning
people,
the consumer?
The consumer.
Okay.
But as consumers, what we're doing is we're not paying attention to what's talent. We're paying attention to what's funny, what's catchy, what's the most ignorant thing that we can see. And sometimes we're putting people into positions of power by accident because you might be laughing at this person's career because it's so horrible, but every time you click and you engage in that post,
you're giving them power.
You're elevating them. You're giving them power. So that dude that's sitting there been playing a violin for 35 plus years, or that little girl that's been singing her entire life and practicing, honing her skills, she's getting overlooked because we're spending so much time laughing at nonsense.
Bullshit.
At nonsense, yeah. Mm-hmm. And so now our industry is filled with talentless hacks. And if you look at most of the talent, it comes from the past. In hip-hop, a lot of your artists are from the 90s eras or the early 2000s. These new artists coming up from the 20s, there's very few. There are some, there's some, but there's very few that are really, I would say, can even hold the same microphone as some of the people from the 90s, the 80s, 70s. You know, they ain't even close, close. And that's where it all fails, as the talent. We don't care about talent anymore. We care about whatever's catchy at the moment. You know, we got little kids setting the standard for our entertainment now because they're the most. They're on them tablets and stuff the most. You know, those little kids. You know, they're the ones clicking this stuff. And so when people, you know, our age, they hear this music and they're like, "What is this? This is horrible."
Right.
It's because our babies. We need to spend more time watching our babies, our children. Spend more time paying attention to what they're listening to because they're the ones clicking this nonsense and elevating it to the levels that it's at. And it's
sad.
It's sad. It's sad.
Before we end, you got to give us a little sample of my favorite song from the first. First of all, before you do that, how can the viewers reach out to you, follow you, and be a part of what's going on in your future, and more importantly, what exactly is happening with you before we wrap up?
So yeah, if you want to hear more of my music, TylerTruth.com. That's where I send everybody. It's TylerTruth.com. That's simple. That's where you can see all my music videos, any news things that I've done, any up and coming shows, what I do for my fans. If you're subscribed to my my web channel, you can actually see my albums before they come out.
Really?
As I record each song, I'll put them on my webpage for my fans to view. And that's kind of a cheat code of how I make sure my albums are hitting on point. I'll put my music out to my fans
That's pretty
first.
smart. How much did your manager have to do with that idea?
Well, that was actually one that was mine. I was doing that before. So, but yeah, I put that out, and then you can listen to it, and people can kind of tell me, "Oh yeah, I like that song." And if I notice the song's not getting played, I'll take it off and replace that song with something else. Okay. And then when I got them all done and they're all hitting, I release the album. So TylerTruth.com for my fans if you want to hear the music. And then I'm on Spotify, iTunes, pretty much everything. You can get to all of that from TylerTruth.com. We got the new album dropping on July 4th. It's called Mud. Thank you. And today, actually, they just dropped the video for Push On. It's on Country Fix. If you want to go check that out as well. So.
You're blowing up on numbers of views and streaming. Your manager's talking about all these crazy numbers. Like, I can't even get these numbers.
Yeah, it's coming. It's like I like to do things organically, so it happens a little slower for us. I don't, just so people know, I don't pad my numbers. You know, I don't get on there and use the bots. I do everything organically. So sometimes you'll see things go up and go down. It's because we're doing it.
And sometimes
all
the best way to do it.
Yeah.
Sometimes the best way to do it. No, that is the best way to do it.
Yeah, because bots can't buy records. So
Close us out with my favorite song. I'm gonna put the mic right by you because I want to make sure they hear this beautiful voice.
I spent many nights staring at the stars all on my own. I prayed to God that I find my way and it keeps me strong. There's been so many nights shotgunning shots with some chicks I just met while I watch as my timepiece ticks, waiting on the right time to find a moment that's mine. 'Cause I've been down, I'm gonna turn this thing around, go and claim my destiny. Fought all my life, it's finally time, I know where I'm supposed to be. Big dog, I'm gonna kick hits off with a chick, lips off, there's the threads in my dungarees. Gone up this time, 'cause at the top's where I'm supposed to be.
Ladies and gentlemen, this has been another exciting episode of the Andre The Beast Crayton Show.